Hey, we are back, and this is survival crafting building system thing. So, I hmm, I was gonna, I think I'm gonna build like the storage containers. Right, we have our inventory kind of working where we can build some stuff and we can harvest some things. I want to make storage containers. Now, this is where things. Originally, when I was building this, I wasn't going to do storage containers, so we have to do a couple slight modifications. And we need a storage container. So, if I look at. If we have a prefab, or some type of box, even a cardboard box will do, I guess. Maybe one that's partially open or something. Sure. Okay, so we need to mimic what the player has, right? So the player has his inventory, right? So we have this, and this is just a collection of data, right? So what we need to do is I'm going to just copy these components. Where did I put the box? Let's move the box down here. And I'm going to paste those same components, right? So we have names, we have quantity, we have icons. So now, this box also has data that we can now draw from, technically, or transfer things over into, I guess you could say. So our UI doesn't support that. So what we need to do is, where's my UI? Is we have this inventory. Bloop, right? Just like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to duplicate that inventory. I'm going to move him above the fake. Actually, I'll move him above the tabs too. Call him storage. And then I'm going to go to 2D. And I'm going to move him over here. And I will change the title something a little more appropriate. We'll say storage. Pretty simple so far. Now we have two inventory things. So what we want is if we hit I, or our inventory, we want this to pop up. Fair enough. If we hit, say we click on an object or whatever, however we'll do it, we want our inventory to pop up and the storage of whatever this is or our box is to also pop up. So I think the easiest way to do that is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to create a new event, and we'll call it, I'll say storage. And I'm going to actually copy everything here, paste it, so we now have two systems. Then I'm going to get rid of that populate, and I'm going to put a new one in called storage. So if we hit a button, we get our populate, and it runs through and seeing if they have any next frame events or if this all happens in one frame, which I believe it all happens in one frame. Perfect. So we want, if we want to open a box, we could, for example, on this guy, we also need to destroy. So when we populate, it goes through, it runs through, there's all this crazy stuff. It runs through. So this guy doesn't actually have a ending event. Okay, I'm just gonna give him a done event. It doesn't have to do anything, just so it has a place to go. I'll do the same thing over here. All right. So what I'm going to do here, actually, I'm going to take his done event, and I'm going to now link him right over to that. We don't need that one. All right. So we obviously need more variables, and we need this expanded. So what do we want? Okay, I'm going to put storage actually over here and finish and go into this one. Because we need one extra step. So this has all of this stuff, but this is getting it from the player, and we don't want that. We want get event info, game object, storage. So we're going to send an event to the system with a storage game object. Then this guy can now use the storage array list. Shouldn't there be 3 of those? Storage and store. Maybe there's just 2 right now. Alright, so the actual variables is fine. We can reuse those. That's not a big deal. It's going to create an object. We do need a new thing here. We need a storage holder. And we'll probably have to alter that, but I'll come back to that one. Okay, so that stuff's fine. All right. So actually that should be fine, because we can, I think we could just add those all together. That shouldn't be a problem. So we do have storage holder. He is this guy, right? So we have our holder, which is this one, and now we have storage holder, which is this one. So just to kind of show you what that does. Okay, if I come out of 2D, let's go over to our, rename this to our storage box, and it needs stuff. So, but just to test, I'm just going to make a temporary FSM. You don't have to do this part if you don't want. This is just for testing purposes. I am just going to, where are we? Send event, and I need a set event data. So we need a game object data. I'm just going to hit a value. That guy can go something like that. Send event to this guy to populate to storage. Okay, so if I just turn him off, now I start, we should see, if I turn him on, and it would help if I actually opened up my inventory. Alright, so that's obviously has an issue. Alright, so control. We need a way to control. So we need, this guy has, this is opening our inventory. So inventory is open and we're here. And if we are here, we get the key down for opening our inventory, or we can get the button. So let's not have our storage open if we're in any of these states. But if we're over here, that is a different story. Okay, so what we need is, let's build open storage. So open storage can now go over here. So what I'm going to do is, to make this a little easier, I'm going to add a variable here called bool, and we'll say can storage. So here, set bool value can storage true, move it up, and I'm going to copy, and if we come out of that, then the answer is no. If we open up either of those, the answer is no. We can't, no storage. Alright, and when we come back, we can use storage. And when we open storage, we're going to need a way to close it to come back to here. We don't want to actually just finish, but for now, that'll do for a quick test. So this guy is now going to get storage container. So when we open an inventory, this guy activates stuff and he sends an event. So we need that same idea but over here. Actually, let's put it down here. Let's keep it clear from the other one. So we want to copy, unclick. There we go. We're going to copy this guy, paste it before, and he is now going to open the storage window. And the storage window is this guy. But that also means that here, when we're making sure we're closing everything, we want storage window to also be deactivated. So here we're going to get the storage container. We come down, we open the storage container, and instead of populate, we want storage, but we need to set event data above the event with, so we're more or less, we get it from here, so this box will actually send it here, he catches it, more or less reloads it and fires it down, and then the other side will pick it up and it'll populate. So there, and then we're gonna have to get a way to find a way to close where we come from here back to there, right? Oh, I shouldn't have done that, not yet. So he now, instead of sending event to populate slots, he needs to go to control and say open storage. The other thing he needs is we actually need that thing. And if you want to see how this will work a little different, apparently he has wood. Let's give him 99 wood, slot 0. So now, if I open, we have our inventory and the storage, and this one has 99 wood. Now we can't, well, I mean, I could click and drag, but that portion is going to need a little bit of tweaking. But there is that. So let's go over to control and let's take I don't know if we should use the inventory, the I button. And you can. I mean, I might as well show you how we're going to do it. I don't know if that's the way I want to do it, but so we have tabs for the inventory and crafting. We have the fake. We have the storage. So we need. What are these two buttons? Where are they? These are just the tabs, aren't they? Yeah, those are the tabs. All right. So let's add. I don't know. We'll add a button here for now. So I'm gonna just activate him briefly. I'm gonna give him a button, and he will be close. I'm just going to give him a big X. And we'll even make him red so he stands out a bit. And then I'm going to take this guy. Stick him there. And he's part of the storage. And he can now go away. So under the control, over here, UI button, click, and the button is going to be this guy. So if we get the button, we are going to close. Close isn't a global, is it? No. Okay, good. If it was a global, it would fire off that one. And it's just going to go back. So like I said, you could add, I mean, if you want to, so you can hit I and or C or the tabs and close. I mean, that could all just be, you just add it in here and it transfers over. As long as we go from here to here. How we get there don't matter. Right, so now it's open. If I hit close, it closes. Pretty straightforward so far. So the other thing we need is and this is where things will probably get a little chaotic, is when we actually want to interact. Right? Because if we click the mouse button, is active, so we're checking the inventory. Okay, that's fine. We have this slot ID. Current slot ID is slot ID, right? And that comes from when we populate. Normally, as we iterate, we have our current index, right? Okay, so when we create, I guess it doesn't matter on this, we create the slot, we add the slot, we get all this stuff. Oh, it doesn't have it. Could have sworn it. We did have that. Alright, well, let's just do a quick test here. And let's just see. If I go to my inventory and go to my slots, this guy has my value, which is 0. Okay. And this guy should be 1, 0. So we haven't done that. Oh, I don't think we did that part, come to think of it. I think I added it in because I was planning on this. So, alright. There's actually two things we need there. We do need that value, but we also need, where'd you go, is the owner, I guess you could say. Right, because when we want to swap things around from one inventory to another, we need the reference of where, like, where this, if we transfer something from here to go to these. So the way we're going to do that is we more or less, when we create a slot here, this one needs to be, this one says, hey, I am from this guy. Where this guy's slots need to say, I'm coming from wherever the hell sent me here. Right, so on this loop, we need to create that value, and we also need to say, as it's created, that this current slot owner is this guy, right? So let's go and say, okay, we have a value, but we also have my owner. So now, as we loop through this guy, which doesn't matter if he's full or empty, so we'll do it up here. Set FSM game object and set FSM int. So of, for both of those, it's going to be the slot. So the int is my value, and the owner, which isn't there. I dislike how that does that to me. I'm pretty sure it's just based on this stupid thing. Alright, where are we here? So stupid. Okay, so set FSM int again. Set FSM game object again. This is what I get for not closing it properly. So slot and slot. So FSM. He only has the one FSM, right? My owner. Alright, well, let's just type it in, I guess. So his owner is going to be player. And this is current slot. So that's what's being made here. Current slot. It's also made on this side too. So current slot can have that. And my value equals, and this is where getting this current index is what we're going to use. So I could have sworn we set that. Like I could have sworn we did that. Oh, look at that. I'm in the wrong one. It's okay. So we're going to use, because that's storage. Yeah. Okay, so this guy isn't player, he's storage. The other values are the same, but that one's storage. Where on this one, is not. This one is this one's the player. All right. So now we should have now when these things open, if we look at, say, the storage, we look at the slots, his owner is the storage box, and this one's value should be 0, which, you know, is also the default value, but this guy's value should be 1. It's not. Something a little weird there. But yeah, I'm probably missing something there, because I'm sure we did something with that. So where this one, the values are player. So we have the two spots. So when this guy goes over, oh yeah, so he gets the value from that index. Okay. So that's going to pose a bit of an issue. Unless, no, it won't. So when we're done, right, because this guy's looping through, he gets current index. That current index builds into, or no, we array add. So we need this to be, we need another array. That's what we need. So we need, where is that array? Current slots. So let's make array, trying to think if there's easier way to do this. I don't think so. Current storage slots, and it is type game object. So this guy can now do current storage slots. So he does current slots, he does current storage slots. And we don't need anything else. The index will be the same. Okay, so the set value can go away. We don't need that. So this guy, when he's done, I am going to duplicate him as well. Obviously get rid of his destroy, because that would be weird. And this guy is going to loop through current storage slots, which in reality you should actually do a check here. You should array length current storage slots because if we don't have the storage up, there's nothing here, and I don't want to run through this logic if there's nothing here. It could potentially cause issues. So this will be kind of a bit of a check towards that. So if it's equal to 0, we're just going to call done. And if we're done, just go down here. Don't go to here. But if we're greater than 0, use that one. Yes. Then we have stuff. So go here. And this one is the current storage slots. That's fine. That's fine. And when we're done, we can just duplicate these. I mean, if this one's already empty, it's not that big of a deal. Alright. So there's that part. I'm going to save that. So now, if we open, we have that, And when we close, oh, sorry, shouldn't do that. I totally messed that up. So we open it, right, and we have all our pretty little slots, and if I close, all those slots are gone on both of them. And if I look at the arrays, they should size 0 and current slot size 0. They are, everything's default empty. Alright, so that part's good. So this little guy down here, this is where things also could get quite nuts, but he's kind of the final step. So if we left click, we're going to say, okay, is our inventory active? Now whether we have a storage container or the inventory open or anything like that, we know the inventory is open in pretty much every instance, I think, other than possibly crafting. Might have to look at that after. Set int value. So the current slot ID is slot ID. That's not necessarily true anymore. That's where things are going to get a little crazy, because the current slot ID is going to be slot ID, but we also need current slot. Why am I writing that there? Why am I doing that in the actions? We also need a game object. Current slot owner. Right? So and slot owner. So we're just like this, but now we have set game object. Right? So our current slot owner now goes into slot owner, just like this one. Now this is going to get filled the same way as this guy. So let's open him. So he's doing that, because when he goes enter, he gets the get FSM array, we get the contains, we set the integer. We also need to set FSM game object in the root in the interaction, and that was current slot owner. And that's going to be my owner. So now we set a value, an integer, of where we are in the lists and the owner of the list itself. Save, and now so when we go over, the current slot owner is now slot owner. Current ID slot, or current slot ID is slot ID. So this needs to change because we might not be with the player anymore, right? We now could be part of, we could be over the This is the storage box, right? Because now if I mouse over, let's open up this guy. Let's just take a look at these. So we have slot owner and current slot owner. Right? So if I we need to clear it. Mind you, he's probably screwing up right now because he's checking that player portion, right? Right, because we're over the player, storage box, player, storage box, player. Right, so I mean that portion's working, and then it has these IDs. Except for these IDs are all -1, where these ones aren't. Why is that? Well, it's because it's scanning for an array that it doesn't exist in. So this gets an array and it contains. If this doesn't contain, it needs to go check the other array, which is, we can just copy that. Only now we are, I'm pretty sure we called that current storage slots. Beyond that, I mean, they can actually stay as those variables. Well, let's double check that. Current storage slots. And here we have current storage slots. Okay. So that should work. So inventories get so complex. It's mind-boggling. Right, so now, okay, let's open this guy up and do this whole thing again. Right, so what do we have here? It does not like copying that array. Populate slots, current slots. Oh, my owner. Why do I have my owner there? Okay, well, we gotta fix that real quick. What the hell was I thinking there? Alright. Actually, yeah, let's change this. Let's give them a different variable. That might be causing us an issue. And we don't need a not check event. And this guy also needs these. Copy and paste. So the value and my owner. That pretty much is going to happen regardless. But first he needs to get that stuff. Alright, let's give that a little test. Only this time I'm going to put this out here right away, so I'll have to go back into it. So that and that guy, hit play, close those, open that, click over here. So we have player and slot ID is now not recognized. So let's see what's going on there. So canvas, so he's getting the slots. Oh, you know what we should probably do? Let's just go into here. Let's do a UI pointer exit. And let's array clear. Let's get 2 of those. Array resize. Let's get 2 of those. We should almost set the game object value to 0 as well. But let's reset that stuff. Alright, so now we go in, we copy the current slots, and we do that stuff. If it's not found, we do the same thing, but now we do the other slots. So there is player, slot ID is 8. We haven't clicked on anything, so it won't set. Come over here, we see storage box, and we now see its values. So as you can kind of visualize it now. It's almost like we're building like a mini, like I don't know, like IP address or something like that, right? Like this is storage box 5. This is player box 5. But now, right, if I click, we have that starting point, and now we can go over, and if I were to click again, we're going to transfer, well, not that if I click again, but when we set that part up, we can transfer now from here over to wherever we want into this guy's lists. So it ends up getting super complex. So here we have this, right? So we're set that. We come down here and we get the names, and this is our starting item. But what happens if we aren't in here, right? right now we're just saying we're checking the players, and that's not what we want, right? So this guy now needs to go to slot owner, because the slot owner is this guy. So we now, and the slot owner has all the same stuff. So now we have a starting item. Does a starting item actually exist? Yes or no? Okay, yes it does. Now we want starting item, slot owner's icon, and we want slot owner's this thing. And that all gets activated. So if we're activated, and now we've let go, destination ID becomes slot ID. So we need, as you can imagine, a destination slot owner, just like this one. So now let's set game object again. Destination slot is slot owner. Alright, now we come down here and array get the ending item. So this is the destination slot owner. All right, okay, that's where we might have to change things right there. Because right now it's thinking, okay, we're getting the player's end item. So that needs to be destination slot is the owner. Yeah, we should almost change that name to the destination slot owner. And that's the ending item. So we're going to see if they stack. And if they stack, turn him off. And apparently we never finished the logic for actually adding the two quantities together. So we'll have to do that. The ending item, we're checking that if it's clear. So if they don't stack and it's not clear, go away, that's fine. If it's empty, the destination slot there, a destination slot there, yeah, so here we have the name, oh yeah, no, this one is we need that beginning slot, which is current slot owner. Right, so the destination slot at the destination ID, it becomes that starting item, and the current slot owner names becomes nothing because we've transferred it over to Double checking, that is current slot. Yes, current slot. Alright, so let's shrink those two. So now we want the quantity at destination slot. Oh, nope, this one's at current slot owner to be 0, and destination slot quantity to be the starting quantity. I'll shrink that one down. And icon, that's the empty, so the current slot owner is now empty, and the destination slot icon can now be the sprite. Now this says for that to destroy, and that should be fine. He says repopulate. We'll have to do something here, because if the, actually that's pretty easy to do. We've already got a bool for it that we can easily check. Under the control, we have can storage. So move that down here. So, okay, so if can storage is true, then we need to do something about that. And if it's false, we can just say go away, I guess. If it's false, we can just do the normal repopulate. But if storage is open, we can't just repopulate. We need that extra little step where we get FSM game object under the control, I guess we could use storage container. We need to set event data with temp storage, move him down, and then we need to send event. It needs to be right at the bottom. To owner to control to open storage. So more or less, if the storage is open, we need to reopen it, because that's how we deal with our slots here. If it's not open, just deal with the slots normally. Now let's see if that's got any issues. Yeah, if it does, well, we'll fix them up. It says they're definitely not the easiest thing to build. Right, so if I click and drag, we have a little issue here we got to fix. But we are moving things around, and if I bring it over here, we are putting it in two places because this is apparently doubled. But we can move it back and forth. And as you can see, this guy has nothing. Let's put him on live update. Let's give him all sorts of rows. And let's, ba-doop. There we have wood. Take the wood out, gone away. Put the wood back in, put the wood over here. Put the wood in the back, put the wood over here. And take the wood out. Right, so that, all of that is working. It's actually, I figured we'd deal with more problems than that. So, we have a tiny issue. We have, when we move things around, it's going to, as this one did, originally it just says populate slots. And that's fine, or it used to be fine. When it was here. But now we have storage, and it runs through, and then it does this. So we need to prevent that from duplicating, right? Because if I move him, he doubles. And that's because I believe, right, so we move him and he's over there. So it's amazing how fast it goes, eh? When you think about it, because I mean, it's iterating through everything on both sides numerous times. Okay, so when this is done, it activates, it goes there, it causes, oh, well, there we go. That's exactly why. At least that's an easy fix. So here we have, okay, we're going to test. If the storage is open, we're going to open storage. That needs to just go over there, because once we're opening the storage, we don't need to call populate, because that's why it's doing it twice. If the storage isn't open, okay, do the populate. If it is open, do the storage container, which contains the populate as well. All right, because now, ba-doop, ba-doop. There we go. We're moving items around our inventory into other inventories, right? And if you want to see something fancy, let's move him over here, and let's, I don't know, we'll give him stone. So he's stone. So let's go game object storage box. Okay, so this to show you how this now that this is working, right? If I open it up, we know this one's wood, right? This guy is wood on 1. And if I move him, close that, and I reopen it, it's not there. Like, we've moved it, it's gone, right? Like, it's not there. Okay, so now, what if we had another storage box, and let's open that one. Now this storage box has those 2 items, right? So I move those, it clears, or maybe we want to put one back. And I close those, and let's reopen the first storage box. This one should be empty. It's empty. Okay, let's open the second storage box. Oh, we had an issue. It duplicated. Oh, it's because I never closed it. Duh. Alright, there we go. And it's got that item. So this system now, all of a sudden, like magic, now you can have as many storage boxes as you want. Like, you can make 1,000,000 of these things. They all have this list. They're all individuals. You can move things around and things will just work. The beauty part is if it comes to a save system, all you have to do is you could now run a tag on all storage boxes. So before saving now, we could find all game objects of said tag, which will be a storage box, and there could be 500 of them, but they all have this same list. So if we wanted to save, we can now find all the objects, get that list, iterate through each storage box, and as we iterate through each storage box, iterate through each list, these three all at the same time, taking the values here and making a save of a key of, say, storage box 1 is at X position, vector 3, which you have to use 3 floats, so you have 3 numbers for floats, and it has, name 1 is wood, name 2 is this, and then same thing with the integers, same thing with the sprites. And we save the whole thing, and then we go to the next box, and off you go. And then when we go to load, we would bring all those back in. It becomes a lot easier to try to build a save system when really we're just dealing with these 3 arrays. That's all we're dealing with everywhere. On the player and on both storage boxes, everything's the same. But I think that's probably good for this video. Your mind's probably twisted all the shit now, just like mine is. It is a mind-bending thing. Start trying to dealing with this stuff. So I think I might do one more video on, we'll build a box, have the box go to our inventory, be able to place the box down, and then reopen it through actual buttons other than this thing. I can delete that. That's just a temporary thing. Alright, so we'll check in the next video.